I live in Abilene, Texas. If you don't know where that is, it's a city of about 125,000 people in West Texas. Faith, community, strong churches, good families, a kind of place where people still wave to each other. Right now, visible from the highway on the edge of my town, there's a construction project so massive it's been called the largest AI data center in the world. Its name is Stargate, a 500 billion project announced with presidential fanfare, promised as an economic boom for our community. I'm going to tell you what it is actually done to my city. Not what the press release says, not what the company fact sheets say, not what politicians who cut the deal say. What I have seen with my own eyes. Because behind every AI response your child receives, behind every chatbot conversation, every homework query, every emotional support exchange, there is a data center. And the story of how these data centers actually operate is one of the most important things a Christian parent can understand in today's world. Today, we go behind the curtain. Welcome back. This is part 3 of Raising Righteous Warriors in the Age of AI. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, go back, start there. Part 1 named the threat, the formation problem happening inside your home right now. Part 2 handed you the plan, the family digital audit, the covenant, the conversation guide, the discern test, deployed in real life. This video is different. This video goes behind the screen, behind the app, behind the chatbot and your child is talking to. It goes into the infrastructure, into the deception, and into what the Bible, written thousands of years before a single server rack existed, has to say about systems built on lies. I need to tell you up front, this one is personal. I live in this community I'm about to describe. I drive the roads. I shop at the grocery stores, and I talk to my neighbors. And by the end of this video, you will never look at AI the same way again. Let's go. Before I show you the deception, I need to make sure you understand what we're talking about. Because the world says AI is just software. It lives in the cloud. It's virtual. It's weightless. That is one of the most successful lies the tech industry has ever told. AI is not weightless. AI is physical. It's massive. It's hungry, and it leaves a footprint your family is helping to pay for, whether you know it or not. Here's what exactly happens when your child types a message into an AI chatbot. That message travels in milliseconds to an enormous building, sometimes hundreds of miles away. That building is called the data center, and it can be as large as 10 football fields. It is packed, floor to ceiling, with computers running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Those computers generate extraordinary heat. So the building requires massive cooling systems, which require massive amounts of water drawn from local aquifers, from municipal water supplies, from the same sources your community drinks from. And all of it, the computers, the cooling, the lighting, the security, runs on electricity. How much electricity? A single large AI data center can consume as much power as a mid-sized American city. One building, one company, one city's worth of electricity. There are hundreds of them, with hundreds more being built right now in communities across America. I know, because one of them is in my backyard. 6 deceptions, not theoretical, not abstract, documented, witnessed, and lived through in my city by my neighbors in real time. And not just here, the same patterns are playing out in Ypsi, Michigan. And not just here, the same patterns are playing out in Ypsi, Michigan, across America, and in Canada, in New Jersey, in communities across America where the playbook is identical. But I'm going to tell you what I've seen, because this isn't a news story for me. It's my neighborhood. Deception number 1, the water lie. This is the one that hits closest to home. When Stargate was announced, the company published a fact sheet. On the fact sheet, they made a promise the facility will operate on a closed-loop cooling system. That sounds clean, responsible, efficient. Water goes in once and circulates and never leaves. Minimal waste. Here's what they didn't tell us. The closed-loop system is a theory for after the building is finished. What about during construction? During construction, the water usage is extraordinary. Millions of gallons of water to control dust, to mix concrete, to compact the ground, to run the temporary cooling for the construction equipment itself. Nobody disclosed that number. They still haven't. And then the one-time fill to charge the closed-loop system, 8 million gallons of Abilene City water. 8 million gallons to fill it once. And close the loop doesn't mean zero water. It means reduced water. The system still requires what engineers call make-up water, ongoing top-offs to replace what evaporates, leaks, or degrades. The Texas Tribune reported on this. The city of Abilene put out a video explaining it. But the headline, closed loop, is what people remember. The headline is the sales pitch. The water bill is the reality. Proverbs 12:17. An honest witness tells the truth, but a false witness tells lies. A fact sheet that highlights the closed-loop system while omitting the construction water consumption, that's not a technical document. That's a sales pitch. And the people drinking from the same aquifers deserve the whole truth. Deception number 2, the road construction. If you live in Abilene, you already know this. If you live in Abilene, you already know this one too in your bones. Hundreds of heavy trucks delivering gravel, delivering rock, delivering dirt, hauling material in and out of the construction site, day after day, week after week, month after month, through our neighborhoods, through roads that were built for residential traffic, not industrial supply chains. The roads are being destroyed. Cracks, potholes, structural damage that will cost the city millions to repair. And here's the question nobody in charge seems to be answering. Who pays for that? The company got the tax break. The construction crews got the per diem. The politicians got the photo op. The local community, we got the potholes. This is not a side effect. That is a cost being transferred quietly from a billion-dollar corporation to the families who live nearby. Deception number 3, the 85% tax break. This is the part that, when I really sat with it, made me understand this is a spiritual issue, not a political one. The city of Abilene gave the AI companies an 85% tax break to build Stargate here. 85%. Let me put that in plain terms. A $500 billion project, one of the largest infrastructure investments in human history, received a tax incentive that means the local community absorbs the cost of the roads, the water infrastructure, the electrical grid expansion, the emergency services, the school system strain, while the company pays a fraction of what any other business in that city would pay. The world says that's just how economic development works. You have to offer incentives to attract big projects. Here's what the Righteousness Code says. The Responsibility Code, accountability in the face of chaos. Accountability means the entity that creates the cost should bear the cost. When a $500 billion corporation gets an 85% tax break from a city of 125,000 people, and the roads crack, and the water table drops, and the housing market explodes, and the school strain under the population scourge, that is the opposite of accountability. That is exploitation dressed up as economic development. And the families paying for it, working families, Christian families, grandmothers on fixed incomes, were not part of the negotiation. They didn't get a seat at the table. They just got the bill. Deception number 4, the housing and food crisis. This one is the most human. When Stargate construction began, hundreds of workers were brought in from outside into the community. Not locals, outsiders, brought in to build, house in temporary accommodations, flooding a housing market that was already tight. The result? Rents skyrocketed. Time magazine reported on it. Texas Standard reported on it. The housing crisis in Abilene is now on the national record. Vulnerable families, the ones Jesus told us to care for, pushed out of their homes because a data center company imported a workforce and the market couldn't absorb it. And it didn't stop at housing. Grocery stores running out of food? I've seen it. The shelves thinning out because the population surge outpaced the West Texas town where families have shopped at the same grocery stores for decades. Suddenly the basics are scarce. That is not prosperity. That is displacement. And the construction workers, when the project is finished, they leave and the local community stays, holding the damage, holding the housing costs that didn't come back down, holding the roads that need repair, holding the grocery stores that have to rebuild their supply chains. The outsiders build, the locals inherit the ruins. Deception number 5. The jobs promise. This is the oldest play in the Economic Development Handbook. We're bringing in jobs. Here's what they don't say. $1 billion AI data center deploying the most sophisticated technology ever built requires a full operation of a remarkably small number of human employees. The machines don't need a workforce. They need electricity and water and tax incentives and the goodwill of a community that believed the presentation. In Ypsi, Michigan, residents did the math. They asked the questions, and when the answers didn't match the promise, township officials called it exactly what it was, deceptive, and they blocked the building. Jobs arrive in construction, they leave when construction ends. And what remains is a facility that employs dozens, not thousands, while consuming the resources of a city. Deception number 6, the narrative machine. This is the one that reaches directly into your home because the first 5 deceptions operate at the community level. You may not live near a data center yet. This one does. There are documented cases, including in Canada, of tech companies and media organizations funding what critics are openly calling AI propaganda infrastructure. Systems designed not just to answer questions, but to shape the answers. Right here in Abilene, the narrative being sold is that Stargate is a success story, a boom, a blessing. The people living through the housing crisis, the road destruction, the water concerns, the grocery shortages, they have a different word for it. The world says AI is neutral. It just reflects the data. But here's what is absolutely true and most never said out loud. AI reflects the values of the people who build it, the data they choose to include in it, and the data they choose to exclude from it. The answers they rewarded, the answers that they penalize. It is not neutral. It never was. And your child asking it questions about identity, about morality, about what is right and wrong and true is receiving answers shaped by that process. I want you to sit with that for a moment. The AI your child trusts with their deepest questions was trained by people with the world view. And that world view is not yours. I need to stop here because I've been building a case and I want to make sure the case lands in the right place. This is not a conspiracy video. I'm not asking you to distrust everything. I'm not asking you to unplug your family from modern life. I'm not asking you to be afraid. The righteousness code never ends in fear. Never. But the honesty code says purity in the face of deception, which means we do not get to look away from deception just because it's happening in our own backyard. We name it. We understand it. And then here's the part that matters. We decide how God's people respond. That's the second half of this video. And it's the part that I think is going to change something for you. Stay with me here. Quick pause. If you've made it this far in this series, all 3 parts, I want to say something to you. You are exactly the kind of righteous protector this world needs right now. Not because you have all the answers, but because you refuse to look away. That takes courage. If this series has helped you, share it, specifically part 1. Send it to one Christian parent who needs this conversation. Because this information is not reaching Christian families through any other channel. We are the ones who have to carry it. All right, the response now. Here's what God's people do. I want to ask a question that I don't hear asked in any of the mainstream conversations about AI. Not the environmental ones, not the economic conversations, not even the parental conversation or the parenting conversation. The question underneath all of it, what spirit is the machine? I don't mean metaphorically, I mean theology. Every system built by human hands reflects the values and therefore the spiritual orientation of the people who build it. The printing press was used to spread the Reformation across Europe, and it was used to print propaganda that sent people to their death. That same tool, entirely different spirits behind it. AI is a tool, I believe that. But the entity funding it, building it, training it, and deploying it into your child's life, that entity has a worldview, a philosophy, a set of values about what human beings are and what we're for and what truth is. And that worldview is not built on the fear of the Lord. Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. That is a filter, a biblical filter. Now, here's the question I want you to genuinely wrestle with. When your child processes the world through an AI system, when they think with it, they reason with it, ask it moral questions, which filter is active? The Philippians 4:8 filter, or the one trained on billions of data points curated by secular engineers at secular institutions operating on secular assumptions about the nature of reality? Because you cannot think clearly through a contaminated filter. The anchor, pillar 1 of the Courage Code, is the image of an anchor resting on an open Bible on the ocean's floor. The ocean doesn't care about the anchor. The current doesn't negotiate with it. The storm doesn't pause to let you get your footing. The anchor holds because of what it's attached to. Not because you're strong enough, not because you're smart enough, not because you have the right apps and the right parental controls and the right conversation guide, because the Word of God does not move. That is the anchor your family needs in the age of AI. Not fear, not rage, not retreat, an anchor, righteous energy, not anger. And now the fire. Pillar 2 of the Courage Code, the Holy Spirit, the fire that empowers the thing that turns information into action and knowledge into mission. Here's what I believe with everything in me. The reason you found this series, the reason you watched all 3 parts is not coincidence. The Holy Spirit does not deliver information without a purpose. You are not watching this to feel informed. You are watching this to be equipped. And equipping people, righteous protectors, do something with what they've been given. So let's talk about what we do. 3 deployments, not 10, not a complicated system. 3 specific actionable things that God's people do in response to what we've just uncovered. Deployment 1, steward what you've been given. The first deployment is personal, household level. Everything in parts 1 and 2 of this series applies right here. The home inventory, the family digital covenant, the conversation guide, the discern test. But now you understand the why behind all of it at a deeper level. When you limit your child's unsupervised access to AI chatbots, you are not just setting a screen time rule. You are standing between your child and a system built by people who do not share your values, powered by infrastructure that communities have called deceptive, and designed to become your child's most trusted voice. That is a spiritual act. And there's a second dimension to this deployment, your family's data. Every photo you shared of your child online, there's a documented, real possibility has been scraped and used to train an AI model. Every conversation your child has had with an AI chatbot, that data has been stored, analyzed, used to improve the system's ability to engage your child more effectively next time. Stewardship of your family's digital privacy is not paranoia. It is the responsibility code in action. This week, go through your family's public social media. Audit what images of your children are publicly accessible. Have a conversation about what your family chooses to share and why. That is deployment 1. Deployment 2. Speak up where God has placed you. The respect code, the influence pillar. The image of the righteousness code is a lamp, a single light in the darkened space. Matthew 5:13-14. You are salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Not, you could be the light. Not, try to be the light when it's convenient. You are, present tense, active assignment. Here's what that looks like practically. I live in Abilene. I see what's happening. I drive the damaged roads. I stop at the grocery stores with the thinning shelves. I talk to families who can't afford rent anymore. And I'm telling you on a camera what I see. That is deployment 2. You don't have to live in Abilene to do this. AI infrastructure is coming to a community across America. Data center proposals are being negotiated right now in the city councils and county commissioner meetings in towns you've never heard of. The people who show up, the people who ask the questions about water usage and road impact and actual job numbers and tax breaks percentage, these people change outcomes. Ypsi, Michigan changed their outcome. They unanimously blocked a $1.25 billion deception. That is salt working. That is light shining. You don't have to be a tech expert. You don't have to be a politician. You have to show up, ask the questions, speak the truth you now know. That is deployment 2. Deployment 3, raise discerning digital warriors. This is the legacy pillar, the torch being passed. And this is the one that outlasts you. The child who understands how AI works, who built it, what values shape it, what it's designed to do, that child is far less susceptible to being shaped by it. Knowledge is protection, and wisdom is the biblical application of that knowledge. The discern test from part 1, the covenant from part 2, the understanding of the infrastructure from part 3. When you bring all 3 into a conversation with your child, not as a lecture, but as a discipleship conversation, you are building something that no AI system can dismantle. You are building a mind anchored in truth, a heart formed by the Spirit, a warrior who knows the enemy's tactics because their parents sat down and showed them. That is legacy. That is the torch in your hand, passing it to the hand reaching for it. I want to bring all 5 codes together right here at the end, because this is the moment where the righteousness code stops being a framework and becomes a way of life. The honesty code says purity in the face of deception. We have named the deception today the water lie, the road destruction, the 85% tax break, the housing crisis, the jobs, the narrative machine. We did not look away. Naming truth in the face of deception is an act of courage, and it's an act of worship. The courage code says the virtue that goes first. You go first. You have the conversation before you feel ready. You show up to the community meeting before you feel qualified. You open the covenant with your family before you have every answer. Courage doesn't wait for certainty. Courage is what faith looks like when the roads gets hard. The compassion code says love in the face of apathy. And this one matters more than you might think, because the easy response to what I've shared today is outrage, anger, bitterness at the corporations and the politicians and the systems. But the righteous warrior does not operate in bitterness. The compassion code says, love the families who are displaced, love the neighbors who are struggling, Love the children who are being formed by these systems, including the ones who don't have parents fighting for them. Compassion is not weakness. It is the refusal to let deception harden your heart. The families in Abilene living through the housing crisis, they don't need your outrage. They need your compassion, and they need righteous protectors who will stand with them. The respect code says dignity in the face of division, because the digital world is designed to divide, to outrage, to pit us against each other. In the comment sections and culture wars that exhaust us and distract us from our actual mission. The respect code says we do not do that. We operate with dignity. We speak with honor, even to the people we disagree with. We pursue unity, not uniformity, but unity around the mission that matters the most. And when communities are being exploited, whether in Abilene or Ypsi or your hometown, we respond with the dignity befitting the image of God in every person affected. Every family priced out of their homes bears that image. Every grandmother on a fixed income paying higher utility bills bears that image. Every child drinking from an aquifer being drawn down by a data center bears that image. Respect demands we act accordingly. The responsibility code says accountability in the face of chaos. And this is where it all comes to home. Accountability is not someone else's job. It's yours. That home inventory, that's accountability. The family digital covenant, that's accountability. The weekly check-in, that's accountability. The discern test, that's accountability. Showing up at the community meeting and asking questions about tax break percentages, that's accountability. 5 codes, all active, all converging. Honesty that names the truth, courage that acts on it, compassion that keeps the heart soft, respect that honors every person, and responsibility that refuses to pass the buck. This is not a framework for a video series. This is a way of life for a family. This is the righteousness code. We've covered a lot of ground in this series. Let me put it all back to you in your hands one final time. Part 1 told you the truth. This is not a screen time problem. It's a formation problem. And AI is currently winning the formation race in millions of Christian homes. Part 2 gave you the tools, the inventory, the covenant, the conversation guide, the check-in, the restoration framework for the families already in the fire. Part 3 showed you the infrastructure, the deception happening in my own city, the water, the roads, the tax breaks, the housing crisis, the values embedded into the systems your children trust, and the spiritual responsibility that comes with the understanding of all of it. You watched all 3. That means something. It means you are not a passive parent, not a hope for the best parent, not a screen time limits parent. You are a righteous protector. And righteous protectors don't just consume information, they deploy it. So here is your next step. Click the link in the description below. It's the Family Firewall Masterclass. This is a class that walks you through everything we covered in this series. The home inventory step by step, the family digital covenant built together, the conversation guide with the exact words, the weekly check-ins, the discern test, the restoration framework, all of it in one place at your own pace, designed for Christian parents who are ready to stop reacting and start protecting. That link is in the description. Family Firewall Masterclass. Go there next. Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Not wherever you feel ready to go, not wherever you have the right equipment to go, wherever you go. The digital world is a battlefield. I don't say that to scare you. I say it because soldiers who know they're in a battle are far more effective than civilians who are surprised by one. You know you're in a battle. You are equipped for it. And you are not fighting alone. 5 codes, 4 pillars, 1 mission. And the mission, the raising of a generation of righteous warriors who walk honestly, that names the truth, courage that acts on it, compassion that keeps the heart soft, respect that honors every person, and responsibility that refuses to pass the buck. That mission does not fail. It does not fail in your home. It does not fail in your community. It does not fail in the digital age, because God, who said, "Let there be light," is still speaking, and his light does not yield to anyone's algorithm. Go, protect, and raise them well.